My name is Harold Darnel, and I'm from Champaign, Illinois. We went to church every Sunday with Grandma Daisy, Mom, but then I had an experience after I was about between the ages of 7, 9 years old in the church. I was sexually abused by a pillar in the church. I was in the 4th grade at a school called Prairie School in Urbana, and a lady came in and talked to us about abuse. And I realized that at that moment on that day, what was happening to me was wrong. The really bad part is when I went to somebody in the church I thought I could trust and tried to tell them about it, they told me I should never talk about it, and that couldn't have happened, and it was really bad. So I got a real bad sense of what God was. I changed my mind about God on that day too. So I continued to go in church for a few more years, but as soon as I became a teenager, I just completely stopped. And unfortunately, I turned to drugs and alcohol at a very young age, about 12 years old. I tried everything I could try to make that pain inside of me go away, and that pain never did go away. I met Tina. We ended up together. It was Halloween night. I pulled over on the side of the road on the way home and asked Tina to marry me. And she looked at me and she said, "You're drunk." So she said, "Ask me again in the morning." I started life as a married man. And it was good for a little bit, and then, it got rocky. Well, then Tiffany came along. And once Tiffany was born, it changed me inside. It made me realize there was a little more to life than just me. And actually, before Brittany was born, and I almost forgot this, I was in treatment. I went to Prairie Center for treatment. I was in there 33 days. I got out, and after I got out of there, I did really good for several years. I went through 10 years of clean sobriety. So for 10 years, we had a really good marriage. Life was really good. Those 10 years were really great. And then I got a call that my little brother had died. It was devastating to me. And no one around me knew how devastating it was. And it wasn't long before I was back into drugs and alcohol. Tina asked me to leave the home, and we had to end up getting divorced. During that time, I didn't have a good relationship with my daughters or with my ex-wife. And it was my problem, not theirs. They never did not welcome me into that family. I think God brought me back to a place where I could feel comfortable with people I knew and were friends with. And then the church just accepted me. I feel loved here. I absolutely feel loved in this church. I remember one Sunday, Tiffany, she pulled me aside, and she just looked at me and she said, "Dad, I want you to know, no matter what you're going through, no matter what happens, I'm always going to be here for you from now on." Wow. What a statement. Me and Jim Mack, we grew up back in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, he was even one of the guys, we used to call him Dr. Mack, because he was the one that would shoot us up sometimes. But Jim Mack and me, all of our lives, we never weren't not friends. Here, a year or so ago, him and Tina stopped by my house. He told me he was just diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And he said, "I'll be gone in 6 weeks." A few days later, I went by to see him. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I just don't think he's ever been saved. I just don't think he's ever been saved. And so a few nights before he actually passed away, I called his wife, Tina, and asked her if I could come by and talk to him. And so I went by and I sat down there with him for a little bit, and we were talking and stuff. And I said, "Jim, I got something really important to ask you. And if I don't ask you, it's going to haunt me for the rest of my life." He said, "Well, you can ask me anything, brother." And I just asked him, I said, "Do you know where you're going to go when you die?" He said, well, what do you mean? He said, they're going to put me in the ground. I said, no, that's not what I'm asking you. In all the time we've been together, have you ever given your life to the Lord? He said, well, I don't know that I have, so I've been to church. But we talked a while. And you know, I was able to leave that house that night knowing 100% for sure, and Jim knowing 100% for sure, that all he had to do was pray that prayer. He's in heaven today. I don't doubt it one bit. I remember calling and telling Pastor Danny about it. I just couldn't stop crying. I just couldn't stop crying. You asked about when God can use you. God used me that night. He used me to let me know He's always there, and all I got to do is listen to Him. And I did my part, and God did the rest. If you hear that voice or you feel that touch, experience it. Don't brush it off. See what God's asking you to do. Because it may not be what you want to, but if you do what He asks you to do, the rewards are phenomenal. My name is Harold Darnel, and this is my story.
Fantastic.
Thank you. That's cool.